Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Office Pro TV. I'm your host, Justin Dennison, and we're continuing on with Excel 2016 Essentials. And, well, we're going to be talking about custom, text, and special number formats. I forgot that last word, special. It's odd. Why would I ever forget that? But luckily, we have our customization queen in-house tonight with us, and that's the one, the only, Ms. Vaughn Smith. How you doing today, Vaughn?
Yeah, I feel so regal right now.
I know. I was getting ready to get you a scepter, maybe a cape, and then we'd just go at it.
Oh, I like that. That sounds fun. But yes, we are having our special number formats, our custom number formats, and our text number formats. That seems kind of like a weird oxymoron. So yeah, just different ways of formatting. So we've alluded to this text formatting quite a few times throughout these last couple episodes because it's one of those things that I do frequently, honestly. So why don't we just jump right in and go get that stuff. All right. So anyways, we have our workbook that we're working in. I actually just left it right off on the last sheet that we were there. And we will go over to our next one. Okay, so right here in the big headings up at the top, big main reasons why I like to format things as text or cells as text is because I need preceding zeros and I want to avoid scientific notation. Yep, that's exactly why I do this, okay? Because we talked about our general number format in the first episode, the introduction, and I told you it does some things when you type in dates and the letter E when you use like 1E24. We did scientific notation in the last episode. But when I'm just typing regular, okay, so if I typed in, let's say, Vaughn Smith, wow, I can type my name in there. Okay, and then I type in Justin Dennison. Yay. Do I need to change that to text? Not really. Okay, you don't have to. If you know that all of column C, you're going to be typing in first name, last names, department names, you don't really have to tell it to be text because you're not really doing anything with it. It's already there. So I don't want you to think because anytime you have text in a cell, you have to make sure to let it know that that's what it's formatted as. I wouldn't go that far. That's just going on a little too crazy. I mean, I go crazy a lot, but that's a little far for me too. So.
Well, since you brought it up, Vaughn, no, I'm joking. I'm not going to talk about that. We should really. Using text is more about. It's almost like, hey, Excel, I know what I'm doing. I don't need you to be helpful anymore. Right? Justin Dennison and Vaughn Smith, those are exactly formatted like I want them. General tab does not see any pattern that it tries to apply to some other formatting, right? And obviously these are not numbers, but there are times where it's like, oh, this is a numeric type. Text only needs to happen when you go, I got you. The general works in other cases.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's do this. Okay, I am going to take all of column A. Okay, I'm pre-formatting. I'm going to say all of column A needs to be formatted as text. And when I say this whole column is text, then, like Justin's saying, it's saying, hey, you know what? Anything that I type in, I want you to stay that way. Okay, and I'll zoom in for us for a little bit so you can see this. If I type in 3-1, 3-14-18, that's today's date. Happy Pi Day. So it's going to keep it as exactly how I typed it in. It did not try to format it to the date as opposed to over here, 3-14-18, then it's going to turn it into a date. Okay? No, exactly what I want it to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? Vaughn. Okay? Like, just keep it all. One thing to notice, though, when you format it as text, it will stay left aligned. That's just because text goes left, numbers go right. So if you have it as numbers, like they're actual real numbers, so I guess we don't need the air quotes on that one. It's like you want numbers, but it's showing as text, then if you want it formatted to the right, you're going to have to change the format, the alignment of the cell. The other thing to notice here is that you see these little green triangles. Well, those are error indications. It's saying something's wrong with this cell, or at least that See, even though we told it to stop being helpful, Justin, we're like, no, I got this, guess what? It's still going to be like, are you sure? Okay, so when you have error checking, it's going to tell you, when I click on the cell, there's a little box that comes up and it says, hey, guess what? I see this as a number still. I know you told me to stop, and I know you told me that it's text, but I can't help it because I have my error checking options on. So if this doesn't come up for you, by the way, then you don't have this checked on. If I click on this just to show you, I'm into my Excel options, and then my error checking is going to be working right here. Like, it is enabled. If you don't have that enabled, then you're not going to get this. I would avoid suggesting turning this off, because error checking is actually a good thing to have, okay? To me, I would just say, guess what? Just get used to the green triangles and you'll be fine.
Well, actually, Vaughn, I noticed there were additional rules that we could checkbox in that dropdown.
In here?
Yeah.
Back
so
in the
not only
options?
can we have it turned on, but if you go down below that, there's a checkbox that says numbers formatted as text or preceded by an apostrophe, which is, if we uncheck that, do those go away?
I'm assuming. Yeah, this is one of those things, because I've just gotten so used to, like, I'm always going to see the green triangles and it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, so I don't ever change the defaults with my error checking. Now that you point that out, I'm like, man, that would be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Like, yes, you can. It does seem to say that, like, it will stop doing that, okay? And it will do your indications, and you can stop doing the green triangles for there. But again, I like the error checking, so I just don't like to mess with them too much. And I guess maybe just I've used Excel so much, I've just gotten used to it.
So if I had a worksheet, and I totally agree. If you can help me find errors as much as possible, that's great. If you have a worksheet, yes, worksheet. I always mix up those terms. A worksheet that has a whole bunch of text formatting, and then there's maybe some formulas over here and some other things where you could possibly have errors, I would temporarily turn this off, mainly to go, there's some weirdness going on. I'm having a hard time like sifting through what is number as text versus what is a legitimate error. But that is a handy little click. In general, I would keep it on as well. It looks like a little dog ear of a page, which kind of makes me go, don't dog ear the pages like that. But it's a reminder, right? Come back, check this out, and then, I mean, ultimately you could ignore all of these as well.
Totally, yeah. So right here, I could click ignore, and then the green triangle goes away. The thing is, the next time you type something in, it's going to do the same thing again. So it's going to be like, oh, here's my error. So, you know, maybe at the very end, you just go ahead and just take all of these and just say, just ignore these errors, stop doing it, and then ignore them again. But then it still comes back on. So, again, just live with it. Know what it is, and know that I know I'm doing it correctly. So, and the biggest thing right here is that preceding 0. 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. Yes, it stays. That's so great. If I came out over to here, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, no, doesn't keep it. 0, 0, 3, 4, no, it doesn't keep it. This is another before or after the formatting, right? If I say, oh, well, let's just go ahead and turn these into text, right? Because it heard me type those zeros in, so let's turn this into, there's text. It doesn't bring it back, okay? Like Justin was saying in the introduction, it's just gone. It doesn't matter. I still have the same amount of marbles, so Excel completely ignores that. So trying to format it after the fact, it will not remember it. Okay, you gotta pre-format it to understand, keep the preceding zeros, because I want this to be text.
And this may not seem like a big issue, right? However, if these are like ISBN numbers or product codes or something like that, where you may have a varying number of leading zeros, and you don't want those to go away, oh man, can you imagine going, oh man, I wasn't even paying any attention. All those zeros are gone. You got to re-input that data because it doesn't listen to them. It doesn't reserve that behind the scenes. It's not just a presentational layer. This is, again, one of those times where conversion actually makes some decisions about the underlying data for you, depending on it, whether it's pre-formatted or post-formatted.
Yeah, and then making sure that I know that my ISBN numbers or my product codes are going to go in this column. You make sure you put it as text from the very beginning. I've had people say like, oh, I just go ahead. The first thing I ever do is to select the whole sheet and just format it all as text. Okay, great. If that's like what helps you and how you use Excel, wonderful. Okay, it's up to you. Okay. And with the avoiding scientific notation. This whole column is already formatted as text, so I'm just going to keep saying in column E. If I type in 1E23, yes, no more exponents, takes it away, and I'm all good. You do need to be careful if you are doing dates, because if I type this in, this is never going to be able to be converted back to a date. Keep that in mind. We will talk about that when we get more into the date formats, but this is text, just like you can't get your preceding zeros back. If you enter dates in as text, it will always stay text. Can't change it back. I'll just show you really quickly, and we'll talk about it again. See if I go ahead, let's go ahead and do it as a long date. That doesn't change anything. If I turn this one to a long date, whoops, that's time. Let's go to a long date. It's there, okay? So just keep that in mind. Big one to think about.
Now, Vaughn, I know copy and pasting and formatting. If I take 31418 and I copy and then paste that into a general cell, will that then become formatted as a date if the cell is general? Or does it just, meh?
Let's make sure. Okay, so I was just undoing to make sure that I was looking up here to make sure that cell was, yes, it's back as text. Remember, even though I changed it, so if I copy this, come over to here, this is general, and I paste, what you have is some paste options. So you could probably go ahead and paste the values, but then it's still, you know what? I'm not sure if I could change that. It doesn't seem to, now I get an error, so I can convert it back to a text with date as 2-digit year. I can convert it, okay? It looks like with the options. I'm not going to guarantee that it's going to happen every time. So you got to be a little careful with it. It seems to have worked. I wouldn't rely on that all the time. So
And I can foresee that being an issue. Like, wait a minute, because actually two of those options, is it 1918 or is it 2018?
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So,
exactly.
so these are prone to errors, but that's good to know that it doesn't automatically make assumptions for you, even if it's taking the values over to a general cell. I got to be careful, right? Text seems to be a one-way street because you're saying, excuse me, Excel, I'm about to show you how it's done.
I like the way you described that. Sounds good. Definitely. All right, let's move over to special and custom. So special number formats. Well, these are things like, okay, say your phone number, okay? Phone numbers, normally, if we're talking about US numbers, okay, we have an area code, and then we have 3 digits, and then we have 4 digits. And the area code is usually in parentheses. So, it's kind of hard to type that out, isn't it, Justin? Open the parentheses, 352, close. You can do a special number format. I've selected all of column A because I know I'm going to be putting in phone numbers here. Come down into more number formats. Come over here to special, and you can see that it's got things like zip code, phone number, social security. Things that in the United States, that's how it's formatted. Okay, that's kind of fun. So why don't we change this to phone number? Go ahead and click OK. And then you see that it goes ahead and does it. So I can do 772-123-4567. There you go. 813, finding area codes that I've lived in before. So we go ahead and do that. So you can see that we've got these different things. But what if I didn't type in, because that's 10 digits, right? Yes, 10 digits. What if I typed in 6? I don't know what that means. Okay, a couple more numbers. Dropped the 0, didn't it? Okay, so that's where it's going from the right-hand side and then doing the different characters from the right. It's kind of a weird thing.
So, Vaughn, it's interesting. There is some weird formatting, right? It's applying these rules in an odd way. I used to think that was a negative, but it just hit me at this very moment. Because it's applying that formatting, it's going, I have 4 spaces here, a dash, 3 spaces, and then some stuff, right? There are times where you write a phone number without an area code. So it just says, these are optional. If you start filling that in, that -6 is actually, I filled one of the spaces to the right, There's nothing else to fill there. I'm going to go ahead and put the dash because that's always required. So it looks like a negative sign, but I don't think it's actually a negative. I think it's just the dash in the format.
Yeah, and I never even thought about, like what you just said, sometimes you might not want to put the area code in. So I was like, oh, I just typed that in. 123 1 2 3 4. Yeah, and then it just ignores the parentheses. You don't see like parentheses. It just does it from the right. So yeah, it's exactly right. Cool.
Yeah, that's kind of a not, because I was like, why are they doing negative numbers? That's weird. But it's not negative. It's just trying to fill from right to left in the pattern. If it doesn't have enough, then it looks like you have a negative number.
And oh, I just typed the letter P. But no, if I just go ahead and put a bunch more numbers in it, then, well, let's first of all go ahead and increase the width. Then it puts all those extra digits into the area code. So it doesn't put that outside. So that's something that can be really interesting. And the same thing with your social security number. If we go into our custom number, not custom, sorry, special, and then we use social security number because that is a specific pattern. It's 2 3 4, wait, 3 2 4, right? So if I 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 4, then it goes ahead and puts the dashes in there. But if I type in a bunch of numbers, I keep trying to show you these things, but notice it, then it does go to the left. Or if I only type in a couple, that's what you get. And there's a bunch of zeros, so be careful about that. You need to make sure that you type in the 4 3 9 digits for a social security. It's 9, right? Okay. I'm so bad.
Counting's hard, Vaughn. I ain't gonna lie to you. When you count in your head and you're trying to do mappings of digits, I completely understand. But both of these come from the special tab. I've noticed, I asked a previous question about some locale features. Here we actually have a language designation. Does that change? I know in other countries like the phone number. Mm-hmm. It does change because they have different country codes and different. Does changing the language actually change the number format for phone number? And I'm not even sure other countries have social security numbers. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, and that's what's really neat about that. And I wanted to kind of say that to maybe have you guys thinking, hey, does that do something? Yeah, if I change this to another country, and I think we did, didn't we do like Denmark, something like that? So if we went into, well, there's Danish, right? So I'm assuming that's like a postal code, maybe like a post number, a telephone number, a personal number. Maybe that's what they use. So if I type in a telephone number and then click OK, this is just in this one column right here. If I type in some numbers, yeah, it's putting them with like the spaces and stuff. So yes, it will do that based on that particular country. Can't verify because again, I'm just kind of a very U.S.-centric person, and that's where we have it. But it is kind of neat that you can change the country, and it would change the special options that are available to you and how you could format, which is pretty cool. Neat. Ooh, now we get to talk about custom number formats. I like custom number formats. They're fun. And let me give you an example. Okay, let's say that here at Office Pro TV, Dev Pro TV, IT Pro TV, we have a certain way that we do dash and another 2 digits. It's followed a certain pattern. Okay, what I'm trying to get to is that like it would be nice because I don't want to have to type in ITP every single time. Just type in 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then it poof does it just like the phone number or the social security number, but it doesn't follow those particular patterns. You can make your own patterns in the own way that you could go ahead and type that in, and that's pretty cool. The thing you do need to be aware of before we start getting into this is the difference between what the number sign, or the pound sign, and the 0. And I'm just physically typing this in so you can see it. Okay, they mean different things when you get into custom number formats. 0 means that it can accept a 0 value. The number sign, or the pound sign, that's like 1 through 9, and it's going to drop those zeros. Just like we talked about like the preceding zeros with our text and everything like that, that's something you need to be careful of when you're formatting it. Could it be 0? I would go with 0. If you don't know, or I don't need to have this as a zero place, then go ahead and use the pound sign. So just be careful about this. And so let's go with our column D. We're going to call them section numbers. Maybe we'll just go with like employee. There we go. Employee ID. Go along with the same example that I talked about. So let's select this whole column. Let's come into custom, which is going to be down in more number formats. And we go to custom. And we have this little dialog box right here. Notice they have some examples in here already that are using like the pound sign and the zero, depending on what you need it to be. There's some that get with like this semicolon, and some have these like brackets around things. This is where, I'll just pull this up really quickly. If you want like a whole list of what this means, check out the episode notes, because this is the help files for custom number formats. And it's talking about how you could use this for different ways of formatting, how you want your positives to look, how you want your negatives to look, all sorts of different ways that you can change this, and it's all separated by semicolons. I don't get that in depth at this particular level right here, so we're not gonna go too far into this. But one thing to know though, is if you want text to show up, the other part I should have told you is the quotes. Let's just go through here. I'm going to zoom into here, because if I want to make my own number format, you got to click right here where it says type. I don't want any of these other number formats, so I'm going to start from scratch. I want the letters IT, you know what? I'm just going to go with Office Pro. Okay, OPTV, because that's a lot easier for me to remember, and I have it in my notes, so it's much easier. Open the quotation, the double quote, and then type in OPTV, and then I want a number. So then I'm going to close the quote, stop the text. They could be zeros. Okay, so I want to make sure that I put those as zeros, because I could have 00-00-01. Okay, but I need to now have a dash. So you open the quote, type in the dash, close the quote. There could be two more digits that could be zeros. Open the quote, dash, close the quote, two more zeros. Okay, so this is saying that all I do is when I type in those 6 digits, all the rest of it is going to populate and be like in that pattern, just like we did with our phone numbers and our social security numbers.
Now, Vaughn, could you zoom in just a little bit for us, just so we can make sure we have quotes around the literal things that we want there, and then zeros are pattern placeholders for, well, 0 through 9.
Yes.
Some numeric value that includes 0. If we didn't want a 0, we would have a pound sign, right? So that would get 1 through 9.
Yes.
Okay, there was a lot going on in my head. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. All right,
yeah.
Got it.
It's a little difficult to wrap, and it's also, since I'm using such a long example, it's like, wait, where are the quotes? Let's type it in. If I come into here and type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 digits, there you go. Look at how it put in the OPTV and the dashes, and that's pretty cool. If I typed in 001000, there you go. So think about like part numbers, ISBN numbers, all of those things that I'm always going to have to keep typing, and I don't want to type in ISBN. I just go ahead and type, because I think you put those letters in front of them, don't you?
A lot of times there is a designation for, like, this is the ISBN number, and then there's an alternative ISBN number. We're not here to talk about publishing standards and book copyright, I don't guess. That is incredibly handy, because now you can just kind of run through, and then your pre-formatting is taken care of, and it makes sense to everybody. This is one of those things where I was like, I wish I'd have known this about it a bunch of other times that I spent times going A, E, or, something like that.
Definitely. Now, I want to come back into here because I selected the whole column again. If I turn these into number signs, so I'm taking everywhere where there's a 0, and I'm putting this into the pound sign or number sign, right? So all I did is change out the zeros. And I click here. You can already tell. Look what's going on there. It dropped those, didn't it? Remember the ones I had with the 0, 0? It's going to take them out. So if I type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, looks like the same thing. Everything's fine. 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2. It's only going to remember the 1, 2. Anything in the 0 in the front, it's going to drop it. So that's, you got to be a little weird. Now, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. See how, since the 1 started it, then it's going to remember. Ugh. So if you're ever gonna have zeros in the front, just use zeros. It's kind of one of those things, but it can bite you, because if I typed in like 5, 6, oh wait, sorry, I got to go back to the zeros. Okay, so if I go ahead and go back to here and change those back. You kind of have to pick your side, pick your poison as to which one you want and which one's more important. So that's what you gotta do.
This is very context specific. I can see where if I want to apply it to a very common format, like I need it to be 2 numbers, 2 numbers, 2 numbers, regardless of what I type in there. And there could be, I would almost, for me, just say there's going to be zeros, and because that'll fit most of the use cases that I can think of. And I wouldn't have to go, wait a minute, if I have a leading 0, that's actually going to get dropped. Oh, wait a minute. So I need to type some. It seems like that dropping zeros could be a horrible pain, but it may differ depending on the context of what you're doing.
Yes, definitely. So you just have to know. You have to know your data and why you need it. So the last one I want to do, because I know we have just a few minutes left, is I have temperature, right? Again, we're talking about, is this Fahrenheit or Celsius conversion? We're not going there. I just want the degree sign. Well, first of all, the degree sign is not on my keyboard. So putting in things like that's going to be our special characters. So if I go over to my Insert tab, and I come over here to Symbols, in my Symbols dialog box, there's going to be all sorts of different things. There's also some special characters. There's that non-breaking space. It's always so much fun. So I need to come into here, and I would need to find the degree sign. And I just realized that I forgot where this is, but I know that if I typed in, like, let's say Arial, I know if I scroll down through here, is that it?
Yep.
Is that the one? Yep, that's the degree sign. I just realized I forgot where to find that. I've done this example so many times, but I know that this is my character that I want. What I would first do is just find a cell, put in the special character, just insert. By the way, when you click insert, don't do it again. It's in there, okay? So then I just go ahead and click close, because I just need to go ahead and get that character there. Then what I would do is I would select it. I would copy it, because this is like in a separate cell. And then I want to be able to type in like 105, and then it puts the degree. And I want to put in, and this is where if you wanted to have Fahrenheit or Celsius, and you don't want to have to do that, you just put it all in what? Quotes. So I would need to put in, could it be 0? Could I have 0 degrees? Yes. So you'd make sure you put a 0. Let me show you how to do it. We're going to go into, I'm showing a different way. I'm right-clicking and going to Format Cells. Coming down into Custom. I'm going to scroll in so you can see. Type in 0, because it could be there. Open the quote, because you got to make sure you want that to be as text. Paste to put the degree sign in. And let's just say we're going with a Fahrenheit. Yeah, we'll go with Fahrenheit. Close the quote. So again, it's kind of hard to see, but that's what I've got. And then I click OK. So if I type in 100, there's my degrees. 76, that would be a beautiful temperature. Maybe like 68. That's a perfect temperature for me. Could it be 0? Yep, it could. Could it be -32? Yes, it could. So I can do, I would have to physically type in the negative sign. So could it be 1,000? I guess that's 10,000. Yes. So that's what you need to do, is you put that 0, because if I had just did the pound sign, then me typing in 0 degrees wouldn't be allowed. So that's a good thing.
What if I put -05 and then put just hit enter? Okay.
5.
I was wondering if that negative and then that leading 0 would like jack stuff up. What if I put -0? Okay. All right. I was getting scared there for. I'm always looking to break things. You know me.
I know, and then I was like, I thought I had gotten all of your curveballs from the last series, and then I'm like, oh, he's asking me questions. Oh my gosh, he's gonna tell me, he's gonna show everybody that I don't know how to do math. He's like, yeah, pretty much. So, but no, it's good that we went through these different examples because, well, I guess you can't have a negative 0. I mean, 0 is 0. It's not negative or positive, right?
It is the starting point of the integers in either direction. Now, Vaughn, if I'm not mistaken, we've kind of got our summation for text special and custom formats. Are there any parting words before we get out of here?
Just be careful. Just know what you want your columns of data to store and then format accordingly, and be careful about the whole, the zeros, and you can't really get it back. Sometimes this is a great example of whether you format before or you format after, because it's not always the same.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've seen that custom formatting can be incredibly helpful, especially if you need data input. But we're not finished with number formats, so you should definitely save the date and hope you make it back in time. But we're going to go ahead and get out of here. So signing off for Office Pro TV, I've been your host, Justin Dennison.
And I'm Vaughn Smith.
And we'll see you next time.